The story began on the continent of Shenwu, within the Saint Yuan Demon Sect, deep in the night beneath a moon-stained crimson red. Inside a chamber filled with chain decorations and hanging skulls, candles emitted a dark violet glow. The protagonist lay on the bed, his hands bound. He kept begging the woman he called senior sister to release him. However, the fox woman straddling him did not allow him to escape. She smiled and laughed with excitement, calling him her husband and saying that today was the very day of their wedding. Did he really have the heart to abandon his concubine and leave her alone in an empty room? Between her breasts, the woman took something out, as if deliberately seducing him. The protagonist's name was Zhao Mu. And although it sounded ridiculous, he was truly a transmigrator. The woman before him, indulging her twisted desires by playing different roles, was certainly not his real wife. It had been a year since he transmigrated into the body of a noble young master of this continent, and he even had a marriage contract with a princess of a dynasty. Just as he was about to reach the peak of life, he was suddenly kidnapped by a group of demons from the Saint Yuan Demon Sect. He never imagined that captivity was only the beginning, and that the true nightmare had yet to come. His pure yang constitution was exposed, the finest supplement for cultivating the 9-yin mystic art. The fox woman was overjoyed. As she gazed at the golden energy enveloping Zhao Mu's body, covered with marks of kisses, Zhao Mu realized that no one cared whether a servant disciple lived or died. He had become nothing more than a tool to increase their cultivation. Although he was filled with pure yang energy, he was already on the brink of death. His blood was being drained in that situation. As the fox woman caressed him, he desperately shouted that he did not want to die yet. But she strangled him and, while pulling something from between her breasts, cheerfully told him that dying in her hands was something he should be proud of. The woman opened what she had taken out and said it was a solidifying yang pill. She explained that it could firmly stabilize its effects and stimulate his yang constitution. She immediately poured the pill into his mouth, happily saying that her husband was about to break through in the 9-yin mystic art, so he should not be stingy with a little yang constitution energy. The protagonist had no choice and was forcibly made to swallow the pill. The woman even said that if he could help her break through to the second stage, he should consider it a meaningful death. The pill's effects contorted his face as he repeatedly begged her to let him go, until he finally fell silent and could no longer move. At the same time, the woman lay against his chest, telling him to do his best. In Zhao Mu's mind, before he had even properly seen the world, he wondered whether he would truly be drained to death by the hands of a monster like this. He clenched his fists until they bled, thinking that he would never accept such a fate. He would not give up. Suddenly, a notification appeared stating that an extremely strong desire to live had been detected. The return system had successfully awakened. The system requested the host to bind the system sphere. Zhao Mu was startled and realized that an entire year had passed. He raised his hand, surrounded by golden energy, toward a glowing blue sphere. A message immediately appeared. This system aimed to ensure that every act of giving would receive a return. Anything given by the host could trigger a reward of up to 10,000 times. Zhao Mu smiled confidently and crushed the glowing blue sphere in his hand, saying that the chance to reverse his fate had finally arrived. The binding was successful. A notification appeared stating that the host had received the system late, so compensation was granted. The first return was guaranteed to be 10,000 times. The fox woman was delighted, telling Zhao Mu that while his mouth resisted, his body was honest. Zhao Mu smiled bitterly and cursed inwardly. To survive in the sect as a servant disciple, he set aside his dignity. He removed the collar from his neck and boldly told the fox woman that he would satisfy her right now. The fox woman was shocked. When Zhao Mu stood up and grabbed her shoulders, he took the dominant position. One question lingered in his mind: why these people refused to let him go. In a seductive tone, the fox woman told him not to hold back. He immediately moved and kissed her neck, thinking that since heaven had given him this opportunity, he would take control of his own fate. The fox said that tonight, This place belonged only to the two of them. The next day, the sun was already high. The protagonist still lay there, nearly skin and bones. The fox woman stood beside him, stretching lazily, her tail wagging happily. She said that although he had given only a small amount of Yang power, his performance last night was not bad. She transformed into a human and said it was a pity about the solidifying Yang pills. If he survived, she would look for him again for even more enjoyable games. Exhausted and weak, the protagonist could not even speak and could only force a bitter smile. Suddenly, a red notification appeared. His pure Yang power had been completely drained by the 9-charm Heavenly Fox, triggering the 10,000-fold return. He received a reward. The red Yang sacred body, and empowerment began. He screamed in pain as violent energy surged through him. When the red Yang sacred body fully activated, golden symbols flowed across his entire body. Another notification appeared, stating that he had broken through to the 3rd level of Qi refining, followed by the 4th, all the way to the 10th level, the Great Circle. As golden energy and markings surrounded his body, he wondered if this was the power of a sacred body. But he also realized that this was not the time to show off. The golden energy gradually faded as he adjusted his hair. He realized that the Saint Yuan Demon Sect was filled with powerful experts. If his secret were exposed, his fate would be even more tragic. He needed to take advantage of the time when no one was paying attention to accumulate strength. After putting on his clothes, he stepped outside and pondered. Spirit stones were the foundation of cultivation. With his current red Yang sacred body, he could earn money through private dealings, but he dismissed the idea. He was now a man with a system. Moreover, most people were not wealthy. 3 or 4 spirit stones were already considered decent. He wondered if there was another way to quickly earn spirit stones. While walking, he suddenly stopped and turned his head. He saw Wang Chan, an outsider disciple of the Heihuan sect, cultivating. Wang Chan was drenched in sweat, emitting blue energy. Zhao Mu remembered the help Wang Chan had given him when he first entered the sect. It was time to repay that kindness. He took out the 200 spirit stones he had saved and threw them at Wang Chan's head. Wang Chan was shocked, picked up the stones, and assumed that a powerful figure in the sect had helped him. A notification appeared. He had given 200 spirit stones and triggered a 500-fold return. He received 100,000 spirit stones. He was ecstatic as spirit stones rained down, saying that making money this way was easy. But to him, 100,000 spirit stones were still insignificant. If he could trigger a 10,000-fold return, it would amount to 2 million spirit stones. In the future, everyone who oppressed and humiliated him would be made to repay him 10,000 times, or even 1,000,000 times. He tried again, throwing all the spirit stones given by the system. Wang Chan almost screamed in shock, asking what was happening. Scratching his head, he wondered why spirit stones were raining from the sky. Had he, Wang Chan, encountered a great benefactor? He happily said that the senior who gave him these stones could rest assured, he would double his efforts in cultivation and never disappoint them. The protagonist realized that the system showed no reaction. He was disappointed. As expected, the system could not be abused. Suddenly, someone called his name, startling him. A woman holding a long sword appeared before him, asking whether he was still not dead. Zhao Mu's gaze sharpened instantly. He immediately recognized the woman. It was Lu Qi. Zhao Mu bowed respectfully and greeted senior sister Lu Qi, his movements proper and his voice filled with deference. He quietly observed Lu Qi's serious and cold demeanor. She was a female cultivator, an outer disciple of the Saint Yuan Demon Sect, and a practitioner of the 9 yin mystic art. When Zhao Mu had first entered the sect, Lu Qi had taken meticulous care of him, almost like a true elder sister. However, after Chu Zhaoran's warning, her attitude toward him changed abruptly. She distanced herself completely, as though an invisible boundary had been drawn between them. At the same time, Lu Qi had not failed to notice the rapid rise in Zhao Mu's cultivation. As she examined him, Her conviction grew stronger. The pure yang constitution he possessed was far more powerful than she had initially believed. When she mentioned this, Zhao Mu merely smiled faintly and replied politely, saying it was nothing more than praise and that everything was due to luck. Before long, Lu Qi suddenly grabbed Zhao Mu's hand and pulled him away. With a flick of her wrist, she summoned her sword, which shot upward, wrapped in brilliant azure energy. She informed Zhao Mu that Chu Jiaoren would soon enter seclusion cultivation to attempt a breakthrough. While Chu Jiaoren was absent, Zhao Mu would temporarily assist her cultivation. The sword gradually expanded until it was large enough for two people to ride. Lu Qi carefully supported Zhao Mu, and together they stepped onto the massive blade, which swiftly soared into the sky. As they flew, Zhao Mu sat down and instinctively wrapped his arms around Lu Qi's waist, telling her to slow down a little. Lu Qi was startled by the sudden contact, and her cheeks immediately flushed red. After a moment, she remarked that it had only been a few months since they last met, yet the change in Zhao Mu's cultivation aura was astonishing. She asked whether he had gained some benefit from that flirtatious fox, Shu Sharon. There was a trace of grievance in Zhao Mu's voice as he replied that it was always Sister Shu who took advantage of him instead. How could he possibly gain any benefits under such circumstances? Lu Qi explained that demons were never truly kind. If he continued to comply with them, one day his vitality would be drained completely, and he would die. Lu Qi said that once she broke through to the core formation realm, she would challenge Chu Jiaoren. If she won, Zhao Mu would then obey her. Upon hearing this, Zhao Mu immediately hugged Lu Qi tightly around the waist and said that in that case, he would rely entirely on senior sister Lu Qi's care. Lu Qi frowned at how close he was, while Zhao Mu, in his heart, could not understand the true meaning of the words, obey her. What kind of person did they think he was? After several hours of travel, they arrived at the inner sect of the Saint Yuan Demon Sect. Entering a room, Lu Qi informed Zhao Mu that she was on the verge of breaking through to the core formation realm. If Zhao Mu could help her succeed smoothly, she would reward him with vitality pills. She instructed him to sit and wait while she went to bathe. Zhao Mu smiled upon hearing this, and a subtle plan slowly formed in his mind. Inside the bath chamber, Lu Qi gently removed her clothes and submerged herself in warm water filled with flower petals. She let out a deep breath, thinking that nothing could go wrong now and that everything would proceed smoothly. The warm water gradually relaxed her body. Suddenly, she was startled when she sensed Zhao Mu's presence behind her. Smiling, he asked what it was she had meant by saying everything would surely go well. She immediately covered herself and cried out, demanding to know why he had entered. Zhao Mu explained that time was precious and that it would be faster if they bathed together. As he slipped into the water, he pulled Lu Qi toward him and softly said that in that case, they should begin. Lu Qi was left speechless. Her cheeks flushed crimson as she quietly gazed at Zhao Mu. At that moment, they began cultivating the marvelous 9-yin mystic art. Lu Qi let out a soft moan and could not help but remark that Zhao Mu's pure yang constitution was overwhelmingly dominant. After some time, Lu Qi was nearly drained of strength. Panting, she leaned back weakly, her cheeks still red. Zhao Mu remarked that he had not expected senior sister Lu Qi to cultivate the 9-yin mystic art, but she immediately cut him off, saying he already knew enough and should not mention it aloud again. Zhao Mu promptly agreed. With sorrow in her voice, Lu Qi said that she would be getting married the following month. The name of her future husband was Long Tianxiang, someone Zhao Mu should already know. Zhao Mu was utterly shocked by the name. Rage surged within him, for he knew that Long Tianxiang had broken through to the nascent soul realm before the age of 30 and was recognized as a supreme genius unseen in the Saint Yuan Demon Sect for 1,000 years. Moreover, he had comprehended sword intent and was a powerful expert ranked among heaven's pride. Zhao Mu clutched his head and said that if Long Tianxiang were to find out about what had happened, wouldn't that be equivalent to putting a green hat on such a formidable figure? He stopped mid-sentence when Lu Qi suddenly approached him. Gently stroking his chest, she told Zhao Mu to rest assured. When Long Tianxiang cultivated an ancient sword manual, his meridians had been damaged, and his body had become abnormal. As long as she said nothing, no outsider would ever discover what they had done. Lu Qi added that if she truly did not like Zhao Mu, did he really think she would give him the most precious thing she possessed? Zhao Mu was deeply moved by her words and immediately kissed her with intense tenderness. When their lips parted, he said that senior sister Lu Qi was close to breaking through and that they should continue their efforts. Lu Qi responded by softly calling him a fool. The next morning, after their exertions, Lu Qi was utterly exhausted and fell into a deep sleep. Meanwhile, Zhao Mu was overjoyed when a system window suddenly appeared before him. Because his red yang power had been depleted, an 800-fold return was triggered, greatly increasing the strength of his red yang sacred body. Golden energy and runic symbols surged once more throughout his body. This was followed by a notification congratulating him on breaking through to the foundation establishment stage. He happily reflected that in such a short time, he had already surpassed the threshold of the foundation establishment realm. At this pace, even if he were to face Long Tianxiang and the Long family, he would not be afraid. He glanced lightly at Lu Qi's still sleeping, alluring body. A thought occurred to him, and he moved closer, gently waking her to ask for his reward. She handed it over immediately, praising him as truly remarkable and saying she had nearly been overwhelmed and needed more rest. Zhao Mu opened the container and saw 10 vitality pills. He cheerfully remarked that senior sister Lu Qi was indeed generous. Since he needed to give pills anyway, why search far when his target was right here? He took one vitality pill and gently placed it into the mouth of the sleeping Lu Qi. Moments later, a notification appeared stating that he had given a second-grade vitality pill, triggering a 30-fold return and granting him a third-grade vitality pill. Zhao Mu wondered why the return was only 30-fold. This was not ideal for him. Nevertheless, he smiled as he looked at the remaining 9 pills. He still had 9 chances left. Even if it did not reach 10,000-fold, a 1,000-fold return would be more than enough. He once again gave the pills to the still sleeping Lu Qi. A notification appeared, stating that he had given a second-grade vitality pill, triggering a 3,000-fold return. Zhao Mu was utterly astonished as he saw golden energy slowly emerge from Lu Qi's sleeping body. In his palm, a golden pill surrounded by green energy appeared. A smile finally spread across his face. A notification appeared, informing him that he had obtained a 7th-grade marrow cleansing pill. While Zhao Mu held the glowing pill in his hand, overwhelming joy showed on his face when he realized what it was. A marrow cleansing pill, a treasure regarded as priceless in the cultivation world. According to what he knew, this pill could stabilize the body's foundation and strengthen vitality like an origin-nurturing pill, but those were only secondary effects. Its true and most important function was to improve a cultivator's root bone aptitude, which directly determined a person's talent limit and future potential. Although Zhao Mu had been born with a pure yang constitution, something considered extraordinary among mortals, he knew it was still far from enough compared to the real geniuses within his sect. If he wanted to catch up to those at the top, he had to push his own limits even further. Driven by his intense desire to grow stronger, Zhao Mu did not hesitate. He immediately swallowed the shining pill and began the transformation. Almost at once, a powerful surge of energy flowed through his body, making his blood boil and his meridians burn. A fierce aura and blazing light burst out around him as he struggled to control and refine the wild energy inside. Sitting in his cultivation posture, fully focused, he continuously refined the medicinal power until his entire body was wrapped in blazing radiance, clearly showing how intense and profound the process was. After absorbing the pill's power, an unexpected effect appeared. His body began expelling massive amounts of filth and impurities that had been buried deep in his marrow for a long time. The foul stench immediately caught Lu Qi's attention, making her cover her nose and tell Zhao Mu to take a bath at once. Zhao Mu sniffed himself and realized the smell was truly unbearable, so he went straight to the bathroom. Testing his new strength, he used only his glowing energy to turn on the shower without touching it. Standing under the rushing water, he washed away all the dirt and grime while remaining calm and clear-minded after successfully enhancing his talent. As Lu Qi watched him, she could not hide her shock. She could not believe that in such a short time, Zhao Mu had broken through to the Foundation establishment realm. She asked whether the origin nurturing pill was really that powerful, since in her understanding, reaching that level should not result in such an extreme purification. As she touched Zhao Mu's smooth, almost flawless skin, her doubts grew stronger. The cleanliness and purity of his body went far beyond what should be possible at his current level, making her suspect that he must have taken something else as well. Zhao Mu felt uneasy inside, knowing it would be difficult to explain how he had obtained a marrow cleansing pill. To divert Lu Qi's attention, he joked that everything was simply the result of their dual cultivation. He even teased her, saying that despite all their effort together, she still had not reached core formation. His words made Lu Qi lean against the wall, her face red with embarrassment and shock, unable to respond. Zhao Mu did not stop. He moved closer and whispered that perhaps she had not tried hard enough, offering to help her again without asking for anything in return. He even asked if she no longer cared about her own life, explaining that he was only doing all this to help his senior sister break through faster. Later, after everything was over, Lu Qi lay exhausted on the bed, barely able to move. Zhao Mu had already straightened his clothes and said goodbye, reminding her not to rush her breakthrough. At that moment, a system message appeared before his eyes, confirming that he had obtained pure yang energy, triggering a 10-fold return and slightly strengthening his red yang power. As he walked down the stairs, he felt an unusual lightness throughout his body and grew even more impressed by the power of the Foundation establishment realm. Zhao Mu had long dreamed of owning a flying sword so he could freely travel through the skies and across vast seas. That night, he went to the outer sect marketplace and was fortunate enough to find a rare weapon. Holding the wooden case, the vendor repeatedly thanked him for his generosity. The sword, called Star Guarding Slayer, was forged from meteorite iron that came from beyond the world. Engraved into its body was a star vortex array capable of absorbing power from the stars to further increase the sword's sharpness and might. Even though it cost 30,000 spirit stones, Zhao Mu bought it without hesitation, thinking about the great returns he could receive by gifting it to others in the future. While he was admiring his new weapon, a huge man suddenly blocked his path, calling him, "Pretty boy," and saying he had been looking for him. This man was Niu Tai, an outer disciple who had long been obsessed with and courting senior sister Chu Jiaoran. Zhao Mu remembered that Niu Tai had tried to cause him trouble several times before, only to be stopped each time by Chu Jiaoran. Niu Tai was a Foundation establishment cultivator with an ox demon bloodline, making him far stronger than ordinary cultivators of the same realm. Instead of feeling afraid, Zhao Mu was excited, believing this was the perfect opponent to test his current strength as Niu Tai's blazing aura flared. Once they faced each other, Niu Tai could no longer contain his rage. He grabbed Zhao Mu by the collar and shouted, saying he had heard Zhao Mu had met Chu Jiaoran again, and his jealousy burned fiercely as he demanded the truth. Despite the threat, Zhao Mu remained calm. He firmly grasped Niu Tai's hand and, with a teasing look, asked what it would matter if it were true. That only made Niu Tai angrier. Veins bulged on his arms as powerful energy shook the surroundings, and with a furious roar, he charged forward, telling Zhao Mu to die. Yet Zhao Mu calmly caught Niu Tai's punch with just one hand, shocking his opponent with how effortless it looked. Smiling, Zhao Mu said he still wanted to live because he wanted to stay with and play with senior sister Chu. Niu Tai could not believe Zhao Mu had also reached the Foundation establishment realm, but he forced himself to remain confident, saying Zhao Mu should not think they were equals just because of a breakthrough. His aura flared even more as he unleashed a storm of fast punches that surrounded Zhao Mu, but Zhao Mu easily dodged them all, even mocking that although Niu Tai's punches were strong, they were far too slow. In his heart, Zhao Mu realized how extraordinary his red yang sacred body truly was. Even just after his breakthrough, he could already match someone like Niu Tai, who ranked among the top 100 of the outer sect. Finally, as Niu Tai's attacks continued to fail, Zhao Mu coldly said this comedy should end. In the next instant, he launched a powerful punch wrapped in blazing flames. Niu Tai could not dodge it in time. Blood sprayed from his mouth as intense pain twisted his face, and the so-called boss Niu collapsed to the ground, eyes wide open as he lost consciousness. His horned followers stood frozen in disbelief, unable to understand how someone as young as Zhao Mu had suddenly become so powerful. One of them still tried to threaten Zhao Mu, asking if he knew the status of the Niu family within the sect after what he had done to their leader. Zhao Mu calmly replied that he had only given him a reminder. Raising his hand, he summoned a flying sword wrapped in blue light and flicked it into the wall beside the man's head, making him tremble in fear. Zhao Mu coldly explained that the sword was worth 30,000 spirit stones, more than enough to cover Boss Niu's medical expenses. At the same time, a blue system screen appeared, announcing that by giving away a second-grade flying sword, he had triggered a 1,000-fold return, producing a 5th-grade flying sword called Heavenly Star Hunter. Zhao Mu glanced at it with mild impatience, saying it was rather ordinary, before turning and walking away, leaving the group stunned and speechless in the middle of the road. As he walked off, two of Boss Niu's followers suddenly attacked from behind, flying through the air with their weapons glowing purple. Before they could reach him, a terrifying aura erupted from Zhao Mu. His long hair stood on end, his eyes glowing red, as he warned them not to blame him if he showed no mercy. In a flash, a terrifying blue streak cut through the air so fast it could not even be seen. The next moment, weapons clattered to the ground, followed by screams of pain as the two attackers collapsed, clutching their wounded arms and shoulders, crying out in confusion about who had struck them. In the tense silence, a woman spoke up, her hand glowing red as she boldly asked why they still dared to complain when they were the ones who had started the trouble. The beautiful woman, Mu Juling, walked forward with her long weapon in hand and firmly said she had personally seen them attempt a sneak attack first. The chapter ends here. Watch out for our upcoming uploads. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and click the notification bell so you'll always be updated on our future videos.